Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody who tunes in, this is the Bold Prediction Sports Media Podcast, and we coming at you with another episode of Around the Mat. This is your Monday Night Raw review here, man, and boy, was it a show, man, here. And let's just go ahead and get right on into it. And of course, if you got any comments, leave them. We always get back to you. If you have any questions or any statements you want to make about how the storylines are going to progress in your opinion, be sure to leave that too, because I'd love to talk about it because you're going to hear my opinion. Starting off here, various superstars show up to Raw here, but the thing to talk about is when Bron Breakker shows up, he's attacked by none other than Seth Rollins, the same man that he put out of commission with 6 tsunamis a few months ago here, and it was a hell of a brawl backstage. They ended up going out ringside here, people going through tables. It was a lot of fighting to say the least, and it didn't stop until the brass came to break it up here. After that, here, and the bit of sad news from Monday Night Raw here, Samantha Irvin, longtime ring announcer, has decided to leave WWE to pursue other ventures, and we wish her the best of luck here, and we'll definitely miss her, man, and hopefully everything works out the way that she wants it to, because everybody always should follow their dream and do whatever it is that they want to do. And that's the realest thing that I could tell you about this whole situation in regards to her. A lot of people hate it, but selfishly, we would want her there. But you gotta let people live their life, man. But moving on here, we got WWE Hall of Famer Lillian Garcia back here. She's back in the mix, so a friendly voice, a childhood voice for some of us is back here, and a little bit of comfort in that dark time, if you got to say it that way here. She announces the first match in the tag team title number one contenders tournament here, which featured the New Day versus the AOP, which was a pretty good match going back and forward until, the Final Testament had to insert themselves to try to get the win here. And just when it looked bleak for the New Day, R-Truth showed up to settle the score with The Miz and some people in Final Testament, and Kofi Kingston was able to roll up Razor for the 1-2-3 win. The New Day advances in the tag team title tournament. After the match, of course, the Final Testament starts to jump R-Truth. Kofi is trying to go down and help. Xavier's keeping from helping him, saying, hey, man, think about the tag titles. Think about what we got to do. We got stuff we got to focus on. And so they ended up leaving R-Truth to their own devices until the lights go black. And then all of a sudden, when they come back up, the Wyatt Six is there. Save R-Truth. And I mean, when I tell you they put the beat down on the Final Testament, they put the beat down on them. The Miz is the next one in their sights here, and if the Final Testament just happens to be there, they're going to be the next ones on the list. We see too much unique offense from that group. I love how they took Dexter Lumis and powerbombed him into AOP, who was in the timekeeper's area. Phenomenal offense, phenomenal situation to be in for the Y6, who are kind of becoming the spirit of judgment on Raw, so to speak, here. The real Judgment Day, the real Final Testament, so to speak. So great to see that here. After that, The Miz did escape unharmed, though, here, for the most part here. Paul Ellering sacrificed himself to Uncle Howdy in the Mandible Claw so The Miz could get out of there. And then we moved on here to Adam Pearce backstage, getting ready to talk about the mayhem that started off Raw. Like I told you, Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins getting into it. And then once again, he's interrupted. This time, is Seth Rollins... No, it's Bron Breakker going up to Adam Pearce talking about what's going on with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere and attacks Bron Breakker again. And there's another brawl backstage. And they got in some good shots. Bron threw him up into the storage containers, which Seth proceeded to jump off of to try to attack him. And it was a lot of good fighting going on, really building this thing up here. And Seth is doing what he's promising, man. He's making Bronson Reed a star here. Even though we knew Bronson Reed had the potential, like I said, especially if you're an NXT viewer, you know the history of Bronson Reed, and it's really just good to see him in this light here, to be taken seriously like all he's been asking. So that got broke up by the brass and everybody backstage. Moving on here, Jey Uso's being interviewed in regards to defending the Intercontinental title that night against Bron Breakker. Also about what's going on with his family, and then is that a distraction for what he got going on? And Jey Uso just come out and plainly says, like, hey man, it is what it is. Like I told Solo on SmackDown. I said what I said, so that's just what it is. And as far as the title, he said, and tonight and still, your Intercontinental Champion. Main event, Jay Uso. Yeet. And that was that. And he was out. Moving on here. We got the next match here, which was Damage Control, who was interrupted by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez earlier in an interview when they were talking about possibly recapturing the tag team titles from Jade and Bianca, which we know is kind of probably going to be far-fetched. I think Jade and Bianca, this is the opinion moment, going to have those titles for a minute and really establish them and take them, with longevity. And that way, Jade can continue to work on her craft and everything and be the unstoppable force that she's billed to be. But we get Damage Control versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez here. And it was a showcase kind of for trying to put Raquel Rodriguez back on the map. Because if any of us who watch Bad Blood here and who's not objective to the material, she didn't get no pop when she came back at Bad Blood in Atlanta. So now they're trying to build her to be where, people will try to start cheering for her, situation like that. My only thing is, if it ain't a natural pop, it ain't a natural pop. You might have to go back to the drawing board on that and really think about it here. But needless to say, they have their match. She shows out. She shows all her strength, blocking all of the Damage Control's high-flying maneuvers, even, double team moves at the same time, showing, showcasing her talents, so to speak. Eventually here, Lash Legend shows up and Miss Jackson, and they pretty much give Damage Control the win. They come out with the layer out again like they've done previously the last few weeks here. After that here, Liv Morgan is attacked by Rhea Ripley. She pretty much takes out Raquel. She's about to rip-tie Rhea Ripley, and Daddy Dom saves her. Dom gets pulled into the ring, and he gets put into what I call Cell Block 3. But they call it the different submission move. It's still related to prison, but it's the lockup as far as I'm concerned. He gets saved by Raquel and everything, and moving on, we see what happens with that here. We got another one here. It was another Adam Pearce moment showing up backstage. This time it's Bronson Reed coming to talk to him about what's going on with Seth. And then, it's Seth Rollins showing up to talk to Adam Pearce. And then Bronson Reed shows up and attack him again. So we got Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, part 3 already in the early parts of Raw. Well, early and mid parts of Raw. And another hell of a brawl backstage, which finally is in Adam Pearce getting mad, calling both of them selfish bastards. And he just made it official. Crown Jewel, Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins. And Bronson said this is the worst thing you could have ever asked for. And he's letting him know ahead of time. So we're going to see this bad thing break out of Crown Jewel. Next we have the War Raiders in their little segment here, talking about how they're back, channeling their ancestral lineage and the power that they need to overcome and all that jazz. So we'll see what happens when they come back, because they've already advanced in the tournament here. We had the Judgment Day here, Liv talking about what's going on with the titles, how she needs to focus at Crown Jewel. Finn Balor's still worried about Damian Priest and worried about him going for the titles. For some reason, he's obsessed with Damian Priest. He cannot let it go. And then Carlito being called out by Raquel Rodriguez, asking what he does around him. He's like, look, I'm the cool factor and I'm the fixer. He goes to talk to Adam Pearce, which we segue into here, and he gets Dominic shot at a former heavyweight champion next week to see about putting him as the number one contender for the title. And I just can't help but think that he's about to fight Damian Priest. And Damian Priest this is step one of him kind of coming back here. We don't know if that's official yet, but we'll talk about it, because the next match here we had the LWO versus American Made here tag match here. And just to wrap it up, LWO gets the win, dude. They advance in the title tournament. Rey Mysterio-ass build, man. Hall of Famer. He's getting the job done still. Doing what he was supposed to be doing with his son, but he's doing it with Dragon Lee now. So that's just what it is. After that, here we get the setup here for the main event, which happens to be the Jey Uso versus Bron Breakker here. We get an interview with Bron Breakker before the match, talking about how he didn't come to Philly for sandwiches or nothing else. He came to get back his title. He even talked about how Jey Uso got so much going on that he's not a focus champion, even though he has his respect, but he's not a focus champion. He said, I'm here to bring focus back to the title, bring it back into where it needs to be. And he asked if there was some dogs in Philly. We heard a lot of roofs. So the match starts here. Of course, Jey Uso comes down to the ring as Yeet Nation. But, I mean, this match is this build, dude. It was a tough match, a slobber knocker, hard-hitting. A lot of moments where you really thought it was over, and it kept going. A lot of big spears, big hits, dude. And then enter the BloodLine, which we kind of knew what was going to happen, because you kind of can't just threaten Solo Sikoa and expect him not to show up. And in all reality, I don't know if it was just a ploy, to act like they came to help you, but then, you turned it down, or however they want to make it seem for this situation. But at the end of the day, he made the wrong choice here. Even after fighting through the BloodLine and everything, even Bron Breakker was about to get it on with Jacob Fatu, the werewolf versus the dog. It was a lot of heavy hitting. Jey Uso hit Bron Breakker with a spear and the Uso splash. He kicked out. And after that here, after the Tongans came down, Adam Pearce and the Brass ran down to get them ejected here. Jacob Fatu emerges from behind the announce table after he got taken out earlier in a cross splash that Jey Uso hit him and Bron Breakker with. Hits Jey with a super kick, and then a Samoan drop right onto the announce table. Collects Solo Sikoa, and they get up out of there. Then after that, it was track time. Bron Breakker hit him with that 23-mile-an-hour spear. We have a new Intercontinental Champion. Further thrust Jey Uso back into the thick of the family business. And not to say back into the arms of the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, but back into, we got to have an understanding. And you got to understand, I'm a different tribal chief now. I acknowledge people. We acknowledge Big Jim. Of course, we're going to acknowledge Main Event JC, the one who called you Main Event Jey Uso. So you got to, he told you he was proud. We talked about it here. We've been talking about the BloodLine Civil War for months, and now everything is leading up to that moment here. Jey Uso has officially lost the Intercontinental title, so now he can leave Raw for whatever extended period of time, unless, they want to play it off like it's just a draft swap, however they got to do it. But now he has to finish this business with the family. So we can officially say that he is back, and I think that he's going to eventually call Sammy, and we about to get that OG bloodline, unless we get a new one, unless we get a Hikuleu, unless we get Jacob Fatu's brother. But you heard Jay talk about it when he was talking Solo. He said, why'd you go get them? He said, that's why we stayed away from them. He said, all of them can't come down to the party, man. And, the OGs are about to go ahead and set the table right here and do it sooner than later. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is setting off to be a WWE multiverse, and the BloodLine is the cause for it. And it's making proper storytelling. Also here, before I forget, because I did just totally jump past it, Damian Priest did holler at Gunther after Gunther was being interviewed. Cody Rhodes invited him to SmackDown this Friday, so we'll see Gunther there. But Damian Priest told him, he said, after I earn it, after I get back to it, he said, handle your business at Crown Jewel. He said, you're going to have a problem with me, because he's coming back for the title that he really never should have lost. So I'm a big fan of that. Shout out to Damian Priest, man, for standing on business. And we're going to see what happens coming this Friday. But this has been your Bold Prediction Sports Media Raw Review. This is Around the Mat. I'm that dude with the beard. I'll catch you here on Saturday for your SmackDown review. Bang.